Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. The Cleaners asking for another Simple Favour, and the Thunderbolts are on borrowed time. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Off Screen. We've got some absolutely cracking movies on paper to talk about today. Obviously, I don't know what Van thinks quite yet, but I like the look of all of them, if I'm honest with you, Van.
It's a really good lineup this week, isn't it? Actually, of the the 4 movies we are going to discuss, the new releases, obviously we're going to discuss like 24 movies, but of the 4 new releases we are going to discuss, I can say none of them are bad. Not one of them are bad. But before we do, Adam, I think for the amusement of our audience, I think you should tell everyone what you got up to today. I think everyone should. While I was in mechanic mode, dismantling the roof of my car and reassembling it so that it could open in the heat. What was it you were doing, Mr. Ball?
I was driving a double-decker bus.
As one does.
I mean, to be fair, it's been on my bucket list since I was 6 years old. I've always wanted to do it, and I finally got the chance to do that today, which was... And not only that, it was an electric double-decker bus.
Oh. And apparently you were very good, I'm told. I'm told you were excellent at it.
Yeah, the driving instructor who took me around basically said I could have a job. He thought I was great for my first drive. He said, the weird thing, which I've got to quickly say about driving a double-decker bus, is you're used to driving a car like me, where your front wheels are in front of you. When you're driving a double-decker bus, your front wheels are about 2 feet behind you. So when you turn around a corner, you go sideways. You've really got to get used to that. But once you've done that, you're fine. It's all right.
I've never thought about it, but you are absolutely right. Wow, I've never even considered that in the slightest. We have we've got a bit of news as well, which is that as of this episode, this is our very first episode. We made a few changes last week, and we said it was part of a larger bunch of changes. And the reason we have this is we are now officially part of the Mercury family. We are part of the Mercury Independent Podcast Network, and this is going to change nothing on the surface of the show beyond what we've already introduced last week. We're going to talk about the box office top 10 in a minute as well, so hopefully big things to come. We are now a sister show of some pretty great and interesting shows, actually. Yeah, so Past Master, Intrigues Music History Show. That's one of our sister shows now. And Verbal Diorama, which is a film retrospective show as well. I'm going to be meeting the host of that at an award ceremony next week. So I'm going to be representing at the award show, I think next Wednesday.
Yay.
So, wish me luck with that. I'm going to have to hobnob. I'm not good at hobnobbing. So we
just wear a suit and say "yah."
Yeah, that'll do. But you know what? we've got to talk about the top 10, and I'm going to preempt that top 10 because I've not loaded it up. But I'm going to tell you in advance that of the box office top 10 this week, because of the current state, we shall say, of film screenings and publicists being what they are, etc. Of the 10 films, the top 10 films currently at the UK box office, I have seen the top 3. And one of those is 20 years old.
Blimey. Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
So, can we do box office top 3 this week? I know you've seen number 3. You will have seen number 3.
Oh, what's number 3?
So, number 3 this week, earning a grand total of 1.76 million quid. 20 years after its release, has been re-released for its anniversary. It's Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
So, hang on, re-released, so it's exactly the same in every way?
Oh, yeah, it's just the same film, but it's been put back into cinemas because it's been 20 years since we got to see Anakin kill younglings. And
I didn't know that.
It's worth celebrating. I know, 20 years ago. Mike,
it's like, so this is like a sponge, and they are squeezing every last pound out of it.
I mean, that's not a new thing for Star Wars. We've been doing that since the 80s.
True.
I mean, do you remember the 1997 re-releases of the Star Wars trilogy when they put the original trilogy back into cinemas and they had like CGI added to them and stuff like that? All of a sudden there was a musical number in Jabba's palace, and Greedo shot first, not Han, all that nonsense. But yeah, Episode 3 is out. I'd be very tempted to see it again. I don't think I'll get the chance.
But just so you can see it in a cinema again, though, I mean, because you're never going to be able to do that again, are you?
I'll make a little confession. When I saw Episode 3 twice on its original release. I went with some friends down here in the south, and then I went home to Sheffield, and my best friend back home, my lifelong best friend, the guy who introduced me to Star Wars, he and I took lightsabers to our screening of Episode 3, then got very, very drunk on West Street, the student street in Sheffield, and we wound up lightsaber dueling in the middle of a main road. We held up a tram. We didn't realise we were holding up a tram, and the police had to come and move us. We didn't realise. We were just kind of into the lightsaber fight at the time. So,
and you were only 8?
No, back then, 2005, I was 22. But 20, because I'm 42, I'm hitchhiker's age this year. Anyway, speaking of number 2, film that you can't not have heard about. And also, Warner Brothers have the top 2 films in the country this week. The only films that have made money this year, it seems. They have Sinners, first of all, which has now been out for 2 weeks. It has made just over 7 million quid. I'm sure someone's mentioned Sinners to you as well. It's been quite a big deal. The Ryan Coogler vampire movie that has not 1 but 2 Michael B. Jordans, and of course, atop of her hotness, Haley Steinfeld, who gets probably the line of the year. And if you don't know what that is, just go on TikTok for 5 seconds and you will hear that line of dialogue. It is not something you want to repeat in front of grandma, let's just say. Number 1, and I know your son has seen this. It's now been on release for a month. It is 4 weekends on release now. It has scooped up over 50 million quid, just shy of 52 million quid. It's the Minecraft. It's not even the Minecraft. It's meaning there could be another Minecraft. But Minecraft movie is number 1 for the 4th week running.
At that profit, there will be another one. You can guarantee it.
Oh, there will. I mean, Jack Black's not exactly shy of money, is he? That man loves a buck. So I'm sure there'll be. If we can make 4 Jumanji movies, so we can make 3 Jumanji movies, the 4th one on the way. If we can make 3 Jumanji movies, we can get a Minecraft too, I'm sure. But alas, we're going to talk about our first film for the week, and I said to you we had to do some behind-the-curtain reshuffling. This was meant to be a documentary called Where Dragons Live, and I watched it this morning. A movie given 4 stars by The Guardian, and it is just one of the dullest things I've ever seen in my life. I wished that dragons were real, just so that I had the option of being burnt alive rather than having endured that documentary that doesn't feature dragons, despite the title. Instead, Amazon Prime today dropped... we record this on a Thursday. Today dropped a long-awaited sequel in my books. It is another Simple Favour from comedy director Paul Feig. Did you ever see A Simple Favour?
No, I didn't. Was Anna Kendrick in that one as well?
That was Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and the idea was Blake Lively was like kind of the ultimate femme fatale, and she sort of befriended Anna Kendrick. They were both mums at the same school, and then Blake Lively disappeared, and Anna Kendrick, who's a sort of at-home YouTuber mum chef type, went into the mystery of what happened to her. Right. For reasons that I won't go into so as to not spoil the first movie for you, because the first movie's great. Blake Lively gets out of prison in this movie and finds that Anna Kendrick has written a book all about what happened in the first movie. Blake Lively shows up at a book reading in front of many witnesses and invites her to her wedding, which is all sorts of messed up given what happened in the first movie, and for reasons that have to do with promoting the book, with seeing where this goes, with discovering, has she really changed? Anna Kendrick pops along to Capri. She goes all the way to Europe, to this idyllic island, the idyllic island of Capri, to Blake Lively's wedding, to what appears to be a mafia don's son. played by Michelle Maroney, the musician and actor from... Did you ever see 365 Days? The sort of trash erotic thriller.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, him. The guy from that. The mafia boss from that. Him. He's Blake Lively's husband. He was also the husband in that Megan Fox sexbot movie that I'm such a fan of, Subservience. You remember the one? Don't turn her on? Right. So the stage is set, and before you know it, a bloodbath ensues in much the same way as the first movie. I've got a clip for you. Just enjoy the tone of this.
Is that
the cold-blooded killer?
Emily? Everyone, this is Emily, the real-life faceless blonde.
Except apparently I do have a face.
And you're here. How are you here? Did you break out of prison?
No, I'm out on appeal. Our legal system is so Baby, I want to talk about the important stuff. Why isn't your book selling?
It's selling.
It's not. I feel like you left out all the good stuff. Remind me, what happened with your brother again?
I tried to tell you. I tried.
So it's listed as a comedy, dark comedy whodunit. So I'm guessing it's meant to be funny.
It is meant to be funny. Unlike the first one, this one leans a lot more into the camp lunacy of it all. The first movie had a little bit of the camp lunacy, and it was enough that it carried it through, and it made the film really work. Here, they've doubled down on that, and it's helped in that regard. I mean, they are done a favour in the leaning into it by the location, by the fact that this is no longer in... a more grounded suburb. This is like Glass Onion. We're off on a fancy-ass island kind of thing. It is not a patch on the first movie. It is trashy as hell. Like, to the extent that you begrudgingly have to love it. But unlike the first movie, you can see the twists coming a mile offshore, and it's all very convoluted. And most egregiously, they do my boy Henry Golding dirty, because the only sort of returning characters are, you get the main three, you get Henry Golding, Blake Lively, and Anna Kendrick. You also get some of the supporting cast at the beginning, like Andrew Rannells, for instance. You've not got the same level of insane wardrobe for Blake Lively in this one, which is kind of what made the character in the first movie. She popularized leather gloves and casual female tuxedos. Would you believe? She was the best dressed, not even kidding, the best dressed femme fatale ever was Blake Lively in A Simple Favour. In another Simple Favour, it all goes off the rails. If you like the first movie and you were really into the sort of world building of it, this goes much more in that direction. For me, it was a bit too silly. I still had fun with it, but I rewatched the first one recently ahead of this, and I don't see myself ever rewatching this one, to be really honest. I mean, there is what I call a Stifler's mum callback, if you know what I mean. Do you remember how Stifler used to refer to Finch by a very specific name, and then after one of the American Pie sequels and something that Stifler did, Finch got to call him something that was, let's just say, the next level up? There is a very similar shtick put in this, and you're like, oh, wow, this is just getting too twisted. Good fun, and it is on streaming for a reason, because I don't think this necessarily would have worked in cinemas. I mean, for one thing, Blake Lively's real life makes her character here more hilarious than it ever was the first time. Like, recent events and the depiction of Blake Lively have done this film no favours, let's just say. But I say it's on streaming, it's on Prime Video now. Do watch the pair together. If you watch the first one, you will want to watch the second one. And it is interesting to see these characters back. I'm glad we get to see the gals on another, mystery adventure kind of thing. But, like I say, the first one is like a 4-star. This is like a 3.
Fair opinion on that one. And as Van said, if you do want to check it out, maybe you have seen the first one, another Simple Favour. Annoys me that they don't put a U in favour, because it's American. Favour. But yeah,
it's Men of Honor all over again, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It really is. But as Van said, it's already out on Prime Video for you to check out. Right, we get to talk about Florence Pugh next. Thunderbolts. Stay where you are.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. We have still got loads of movies to talk about. We're going to look at Cleaner, which is an action movie in the next sort of block. And then after that, we're going to, I cannot wait, Borrowed Time, Lennon's Last Decade. We'll see what Van thought to that a little bit later. But right now, we are diving into the world of Marvel. And yes, we get to talk about Florence Pugh. It is, of course, the new Thunderbolts movie, which I think you got to see more than once.
I did. I went to the European premiere. I was my friend Zara's guest to the European premiere, and which I may or may not have offended a certain popular musician. We won't go into that. But I did get to be in a room with Florence Pugh. That was on my bucket list. You get to drive a bus. I got to be in a room with Florence Pugh. Oh my God, that woman is fabulous. Anyway, so Thunderbolts. I then got to sort of see it a week later. And I'm happy that I did, because I liked it. I think I liked it slightly more the second time, actually. So, Thunderbolts, based loosely, and I have to use that word loosely, on the comic series of the same name, because it has basically naff all to do with the Thunderbolts comics, except for the title, which isn't even used in the same context. It's kind of weird. To put this in perspective for you, in comic form, the Thunderbolts are a team who are assembled by the then president. I think it's the then president, Norman Osborn. Is he President Osborn? Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, effectively, manipulates his way into government and authority. Rather like a certain orange-faced, blonde-haired, you know who I mean. And he assembles a team made out of villains. So effectively, this should be Marvel's Suicide Squad, right? The exact format of the first Suicide Squad. What Marvel have done is they have respun this because the Thunderbolts' name was based on General Thunderbolt Ross, who, of course, became president, turned into the Red Hulk, and the last time we saw him was played by Harrison Ford and stuck in a prison cell. Spoiler alert if you've not seen a 4-month-old movie. It is now on Disney+, so really no one has any excuse. Like, anyone who cares to have seen Brave New World has seen Brave New World. So the Thunderbolts name kind of means nothing, and instead of the villains, we have anti-heroes. So we have Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, the sort of second Black Widow. We have Wyatt Russell as John Walker, the second Captain America, who had a bit of a public fall from grace when he I won't say accidentally, just angrily and impulsively murdered someone in front of all the world's cameras. You have the Red Guardian, Yelena Belova's adopted father, who's played by David Harbour. You have Ghost, played by Hannah John Kamen, the former Ant-Man villain, who was, by the end of that movie, sort of redeemed as well. And and Bucky, Sebastian Stan. I'm leaving out the guy who actually played Donald Trump. Bucky, the former Winter Soldier, who is now a congressman and comes into the mix when he learns that the Thunderbolts are, in fact, an elite team. Well, not even an elite team. They are an elite group of separate mercenaries who have all been working for Countess Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's the head of the CIA. And she's been using these various fallen heroes as effectively her hired guns. They go and do her wet work, her assassinations, her laboratory explosions, and her data recovery and things like that. And they go on a mission where they find themselves all locked in a vault together with the furnace turned on and 60 seconds to live. So what do you think they very quickly figure out? Valentina is cleaning house. So they must band together, escape, get back to civilization, and take Valentina to task and find out just what in the hell is going on and what it might have to do with this weird guy in surgical scrubs that they find locked in the vault with them named Bob. So I've got a clip for you. This is the Thunderbolts themselves, literally in a truck on their way to confront Valentino.
What about your hat?
The hat. The helmet?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
It's like cool, right? You like it?
Do you like the hat?
Yeah, I think the hat's pretty sweet.
Then cool.
What kind of super serum did you get?
I don't know, regular. Hydra.
Hydra? Oh, fancy. Mine was Soviet recreation, but it's still good, you know. We are the same, you and me.
I always think, why do they give you such rubbish clips sometimes to play?
Now, here's where this gets interesting. Because every scene of this movie that contains the actual Thunderbolts themselves, where they are bantering, where they're trying to work out, where they're trying to get along and work as those scenes are fantastic. Like, they are among some of the best that Marvel has made in years. Like, it's top tier Marvel. The whole movie was that, and there was a slight restructuring of the plot, like ditch the first 10 minutes for one thing, and maybe intersperse that as flashbacks throughout the movies and add flashbacks for certain other characters, notably John Walker, for instance, the Wyatt Russell character. Because I took a friend with us to, my friend Stuart from Talksport came with us to the multimedia, and he didn't have a clue. He asked me when the poster was up before the movie, like, is Captain America in this? I'm like, oh no, that's US Agent, that's John Walker. He's like, who? Like, did you not see Falcon and Winter Soldier? He's like, no. Like, I don't have time to watch all the shows. But yeah, that's a problem. Because people don't. We've had this a few times now where it's a lot to ask of people to have seen everything. You need to throw people a bone.
Yeah.
And like the film could have benefited from some of that. I mean, Ghost, for instance, describes her background in a lot more detail, shorter time, but a lot more detail than John Walker does, for instance. And yet, John Walker might arguably be the most compelling character out of all the Thunderbolts. You know, he's an actual soldier who was given the Captain America serum and then snapped. You know, because it turns out that you have to be a fully good person to become Captain America, and he wasn't good. And the film kind of deals with that, but it would be better to have the backstory. But I say, those scenes where they are the Thunderbolts, those are great. Any scene, however, that involves Bob sucks. Because Bob sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Bob sucks. Bob sucks so hard. Bob sucked in comics, and Bob sucks in movies as well. He's played here by Lewis Pullman. Now, he was a recast. Originally, the character was meant to be played by Stephen Yeun from Minari. He's Glenn from The Walking Dead. If you've ever seen The Walking Dead, he was Glenn, famously got killed very violently by Negan in one of the great moments of 21st century television. And for reasons that I'm not entirely sure of, he dropped out and was replaced by Lewis Pullman, son of the great Bill Pullman. Now, Lewis Pullman is not his father. That's to put it mildly. He's not his father. His father is one of the most likable actors alive. So much so that when they made the final season of Torchwood and they cast Bill Pullman as a pedophile, it was kind of difficult to roll with because he was still kind of likable. And it made that scene, it was one of the many things that made that last season of Torchwood really weird and difficult. Also the entire tone and content of it, but that's a whole other story. And so every scene that has Bob in, bear in mind, I'm not telling you the full story of Bob. It is Bob in speech marks. And believe me, every comic reader who is hearing this right now knows exactly who I am talking about. They know exactly who Bob is. There is no mystery. And you got to bear in mind that that's 2/3 of the audience. 2/3 of the audience have seen cartoons or read the comics or played video games. They know damn well who Bob is. We do not need the Thunderbolts movie to be cast aside so that it can be an origin story for Bob, for lack of a better term, and especially not when Bob, both the actor and the character, suck. Everything else about the movie is great, give or take a little bit of structural issue. There is a difference between Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. That difference is James Gunn, and that difference is because James Gunn knows you need to structure a film in an interesting way to really engage an audience. Otherwise, you're doing a by the numbers. And Suicide Squad was by the numbers. Structurally, this is by the numbers as well. And you sit and think, why did you not just ditch the first 10 minutes? Just open it with them in the vault. Have that be the first scene. And because that scene of them in the vault, the film, I'll get to this in a minute, that scene of them in the vault takes about 25 to 30 minutes. And that's just in the vault. That's not even getting out the building. Just in the vault. And just pad that out. Just put the flashbacks in there and, I'm this person, and then show us. And just do that. Now, here is where the structural issues come into play again. This is a 2-act film. And that doesn't work. A film has to have a 3-act structure. Very famously, Batman vs. Superman had, I think if you clocked it down, it was 5 to 6 acts. And it's part of the reason that Batman Superman is such a goddamn mess. This goes the other way and doesn't have 3 acts, it has 2. It's get out the vault, stuff in New York. That's it. Bob in New York. That's it. It's Thunderbolts in the vault, Bob in New York. That's the 2 acts of this movie. And you think, what? I mean, for one thing, you don't get that sequence in which they genuinely have to bond. There's always a sequence in these movies where, they have to lay low for a night. If you use the Suicide Squad example, it's when they're in the bar. In fact, both Suicide Squads do that. It's always, we've got to hide, or we've got to find this person. They're not here yet. We've got an hour to kill. We're in a bar. Let's have some shots and bro out, effectively. This doesn't have that. That sequence we played in the clip is kind of how that goes. There's a few like it, but they are really plot-heavy scenes as well. And you feel like the film doesn't quite have the room to breathe because of it. Because you've whittled 3 acts down into 2, it feels compressed. It's not a short film. It's 5 minutes over 2 hours. I was reading somewhere that this has the longest Marvel post-credit scene to date, which, no spoilers, but does spoil the ending of another upcoming Marvel movie as well.
Oh, no!
I thought was quite a stupid thing to do, to be honest, because that movie hasn't come out yet. I am really excited about that movie. And they ruined the ending of that. I've just gestured to you silently what it is I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and they give you the ending of that movie. We know how that movie ends now. I'm cheers. That kind of takes the wind out of my sails. I was looking forward to that one, but okay, fine. Very funny, though. Very dark at times. Dark in a way that the MCU really isn't. And I will say as well, if anyone's wondering why you've seen the logo for this movie as a 6-pronged asterisk and a 5-pronged asterisk, prepare to chuckle your ass off when you actually discover why. In fact, the fact that there is an asterisk on the title is lunacy to me, because again, you're kind of giving something away with that, and again, insanity. But very good. A really compelling, really interesting, dark Marvel movie that actually deals with mental health in a way that I think Marvel movies outside of Iron Man 3 haven't really done. They've done the other theme of this, which is purpose, maybe 3 or 4 times now. But in terms of mental health, it's pretty much this and Iron Man 3 for the MCU. And don't get me wrong, I'm not rewatching this before I rewatch Iron Man 3 again. I've seen Iron Man 2 Iron Man 3 50, 60 times now. I love Iron Man 3. I really like this. I love Iron Man 3. I really like this. But Florence Pugh owns it. David Harbour steals it. And actually, there's just some good fun to be had with Bucky. And again, it's the Thunderbolts themselves. They are fun. They are really fun to watch, and they're enjoyable and likable. And seeing them work together, it's worth the movie, to be honest. I will also say it does waste my very favourite location in the Marvel Universe, which is just shameful.
Well, you can find out what that place is if you go and see it, and you can, because it's in cinemas from today. So go and see it. Thunderbolts. Right. Still to come. We're going to check out Cleaner. Just the synopsis to that makes me laugh.
Oh no, you wait, because I promise you, there is the least obvious subtext in the universe for it as well that is even better than the actual plot that's written. But I'm not spoiling it for you yet.
Well, we'll see what Van thinks to Cleaner, and we're going to look at movies on Freeview this week in just a minute. So we'll be back in a sec. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. We are going to look at the movie Cleaner in just a moment. But first of all, Van, something that we started last week that we're now going to do every single week is talk about, just very briefly, movies on Freeview this week. I can start. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, no, that's home platforms. That's home platforms. That's on Netflix.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one.
You're on the wrong one. You're on Freeview. It's easy to confuse home platforms and Freeview, to be fair, because who remembers that television exists these days?
So true. I've got too mmany bits of paper. That's what it is.
The second list is for Gen Z. The first is for their parents. Would be the way to describe it.
Well, we're going to start then with Friday, so the day that this podcast comes out. I haven't seen this. Hidden Figures is on Film 4 at 6:45.
We talked about it recently, I think, didn't we, with Taraji P. Henson. This is about the African-American women who worked at NASA in the 60s and were instrumental to getting Armstrong onto the moon. And I can't remember if Neil Armstrong is actually played by Glenn Powell in this. He is one of the astronauts. This is before Glenn Powell was big. And I think he might be Neil Armstrong in this. I'd have to check that to be sure. That's on tonight at 6:45 on Film 4. Saturday night, ITV2 at 9 o'clock. We get a 3-night triple bill. So ITV2 are going to be running on Saturday night. They're going to be running Batman Begins. Sunday night is The Dark Knight, and Monday night, because it's Bank Holiday weekend, is The Dark Knight Rises, which I do think is an underrated trilogy closer. I do think people are way too hard on Dark Knight Rises. I mean, Tom Hardy is iconic as Bane. Like, he really is. Like,
agreed.
Say what you will. I mean, the voice is... I mean, it was silly when it came out, but it has just kind of become iconic. Another one that I think this is underappreciated as well. Sunday night, 9 o'clock on E4. Probably one of my favourite comedies of the early 2010s. Paul is on E4 at 9 o'clock. This is where Seth Rogen is the alien. He's the Roswell alien who hitches a ride with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
That's it.
I think they're comic book authors on a road trip to go to Area 51, I believe, and he hitches a ride. Monday, ITV4, 11:15. I've never got to talk about this film, and I love it. It's complete crap, and I love it. It's the most expensive movie that Jean-Claude Van Damme ever made. It's 1995's Sudden Death, and it is best described as Die Hard in a hockey arena. Like, what more do you need? He takes his kids to a hockey game, bad guys take it over, they take the VIP box hostage, and Jean-Claude Van Damme, the fireman, who's there, has to save the day. Absolute lunacy, big fan. Just a great ending. You kind of know how a movie in a hockey arena kind of has to end. And yes, if you're wondering, he does get onto the ice at one point. He has to, right? Have you ever seen the original version of The Fly?
No, I just saw that from 1958. No, I've not seen that one. I mean, is it in colour?
It's in black and white. Stars Vincent Price, the great Vincent Price, of course. The voice of Thriller. I think we all know.
Yeah,
Vincent Price. Like, say whatever you want of Vincent Price's work. For Thriller alone, Vincent Price is an all-timer. The original 1958, The Fly, in which he's literally a man wearing a fly head, is on Talking Pictures TV at 10:25 on Tuesday. Wednesday, probably my most shameful tattoo. I'll tell you, I did do it for a bet. It's on Film 4, 11:15. It is the first of the Triple X series starring Vin Diesel. I don't know if I've ever shown you that I genuinely have a Triple X.
I was just about to say Triple X, but where have you had it tattooed is my worry.
I didn't get it on my neck. I was really tempted. I was just bet that I wouldn't get the tattoo, okay? That was all I'm saying. And speaking of trilogy closers, Thursday night at 9 o'clock on Great Movies. I don't know if you've seen this one, actually. It's War for the Planet of the Apes. Did you ever catch this?
No.
Do you like these movies? Seen any of these movies? The Caesar Planet of the Apes movies in the last, 15 years?
No, I don't think I have, actually. But I used to watch Planet of the Apes, the series, when I was a kid. But I've never watched any of the movies.
I would wholeheartedly, not only would I recommend that you watch these, I would genuinely tell you, these movies are weirdly popular with kids. They are not in any way appropriate for kids, since they're 12As, but they're very hard 12As. This third one in particular, there's a lot of death in it. but it's Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, famously, Andy Serkis, motion captured as Caesar the Ape, and all the apes are literal human actors. On the most recent one, Kingdom of, which is the sort of fourth one, and it's the start of a new trilogy, there is a mode on the disc where you can switch the movie's visual effects off, and you literally watch the human actors walking around on their fists, etc.
Amazing. I would so do that.
Well worth a look. It is fascinating. But yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm a huge fan of these movies. And honestly, you should watch that trilogy / quadrilogy now. They are fantastic. There's no camp to them whatsoever. There's the occasional bit of humor, but they're really dark, humanist sci-fi tales is the best way to say them. And Andy Serkis is terrific in them.
Well, there you go. Movies on Freeview this week. Tick the box. Let's move on to our next new movie, which is out in cinemas from today, Cleaner. And as we were discussing off air, I think your other half, Faith, did mention what was already on my mind, which is reading the synopsis. Why is it not another Jason Statham movie? Because, well, I'll let you take it away, really, but it's just an interesting synopsis.
First of all, I'm going to blow your mind with a correction. This is not in cinemas from today. This is on Sky Cinema. Like this has gone ported straight to Sky Cinema. And
wow.
Yeah, this is a movie that's directed by Martin Campbell, who gave us GoldenEye, The Mask of Zorro, Vertical Limit, Casino Royale, like the Daniel Craig.
Wow.
He's not exactly known for making crap movies. It stars Daisy Ridley, of the Star Wars saga. It's got Clive Owen as one of its villains, And, right, the plot on the surface is that a group of eco-terrorists take an oil company hostage during a prestigious party in the oil company's skyscraper in Canary Wharf. And as they do this, a window cleaner, played by Daisy Ridley, who's also ex-army, she was kicked out of the army for being a bit disruptive and being a badass, etc. She happens to be stranded outside at that moment, on the actual window cleaning apparatus, outside the building 15 stories up in Canary Wharf. Now, this is not exactly a subtle film, so I'm just going to tell you that in the actual building that they use for this, where this is set, this also happens to, in reality, be the location of BP. So the oil company they are taking hostage is BP. And the group of eco-terrorists sound an awful lot like a certain demonstrative political activism group that you might have encountered in the news in the past half-decade, going by the name of Just Stop Oil. So effectively, this is Just Stop Oil, do a Die Hard at BP, and John McClane is the window cleaner. So, yeah, here's a clip.
If I did the cleaner, ex-army.
You got this, Julian.
Everyone's got a personal Joey.
If you touch him, I will end you.
No smoke without fire, right?
He's going to blow the building. I've got what he wants. You get as many people out as you can.
You want to hang this whole operation on a window cleaner who couldn't hack the army?
I was never there for you. This time I'm not going to let you down.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's a clip to an action movie.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's how you do it, right? Now, I actually, a lot of the wind got took out of the sails for this for me by the fact that G20 only came out about a fortnight ago. This is not G20. And believe me, this is not fit to share the bathwater of Die Hard. Like, obviously, because very few films, full stop, are. Daisy Ridley's a quite good lead. She doesn't get to do that much charismatically with it, and there's not enough Clive Owen in the movie for my money. It really feels like they really couldn't afford to pay Clive Owen his full rate. Like we can only use him for so much, so use him sparingly is what this feels like. But you know what? A really sort of fun 90-minute 3-star actioner. Like 90 minutes on the nose. I think it's 97 in total, including credits. And it's got all the beats. It's doing the checklist. It's doing the Die Hard checklist. You've got every single bit. It's got an Al outside the building. It's got an Argyle. It's got every kind of diehard archetype in it. You've got your sort of Hans group. Got all that stuff. It's got your Takagi, and complete with your Nakatomi. If you know your diehard tropes, it's hitting all the marks. It's not original in any way, shape, or form. But I will say this: for a trash Director's Sky Cinema 3-star actioner, it's very telling that this has Martin Campbell attached, because this might be the best directed version of one of these I've ever seen. This thing moves. There is not a single shot in this movie that you don't think, wow, actually, yeah, you've put some solid effort into that. The camera movement, the way this flows, its energy, it's great. Really works. And to be fair, does dupe you into thinking that you're not watching a trash 3-star 90-minute actioner starring an actress who really can't seem to get work outside of Star Wars. So, yeah, perfectly fine. If you're a Sky Cinema subscriber, absolutely watch this, because it's definitely one of the best things Sky Cinema premiered in a long time, which is not a high bar, admittedly. But yeah, good fun. I watched this on a Monday morning. Faith and I just watched this on a link on a Monday morning. Yeah, perfectly fine. It's not the most original thing in the world, but I've got no complaints.
Well, see if you have any complaints, because you can go and see it from the sofa in your living room, because it's on Sky Cinema, as Van just said. So if you're already subscribed to it, essentially, it's free. Just look out for Cleaner. Right then, still to come, we've got one more ride. We are going to look at movies on home platforms, not flatforms. In just a second. And finally, our last movie of the week will be Borrowed Time, Lennon's Last Decade. So we'll see what Van thought to those in just a second. Be back in a moment.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules, and no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. One last ride for you this week. We're going to look at Borrowed Time, Lennon's Last Decade in a moment. But before that, movies on home platforms for you to dive into this week. So on Netflix, you could be watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which I haven't seen.
Have you not? I was going to ask you about this. You need to show Albert this movie. You seriously show. This is basically an animated reboot of the Turtles done in a similar style to Into the Spider-Verse with experimental animation. And this time they really lean into the idea that they are teenage mutant Ninja Turtles. They're quite immature. They're 14, 15 years old. And all they want is they just want to go to school. That's kind of, which is a very new concept for the Turtles. It's written by Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg wrote this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There is now an animated spin-off as well, which I think is also on Netflix, and we're getting a sequel to this. This is really worth seeing, and you will never hear No Diggity in the same way ever again after you see this movie. I kid you not. So that is on Netflix as of time of recording. It's dropped on Thursday. From today on digital, and we didn't get to review this, and it's probably for the best, Screamboat, the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse horror movie. That's on digital from today. Should be coming out on DVD soon. Monday, though, on disc formats, we've got Anora, our Best Picture winner. That's coming out on disc formats on Monday. Our Best Actress winner as well, actually, from Mikey Manson. And on 4K ultra high definition. And I didn't realize this hadn't been released, but it was made by Netflix, which kind of explains that. They're not exactly forthcoming with their disc releases. It tends to take them a minute. All Quiet on the Western Front. from a few years ago. That was really a heavy Oscar favourite. 22, 23, I think, All Quiet on the Western Front. So there's some good stuff to watch at home this week, I think.
How can you watch All Quiet on the Western Front, did you say?
That's on 4K, high definition Blu-ray.
Ah, right, got ya. Great, okay. Well, there's some nice ones to get stuck into this week if you want to.
Do show Albert Mutant Mayhem. Seriously, you'll love it and he'll love it. You will make him and I know this as I did this to a child, an ex-girlfriend's kid a couple of years ago. I did this, showed them Mutant Mayhem, and Turtles fanatic, absolute Turtles fanatic now.
Yeah, I think he'll enjoy it. So I think that might be something to do this weekend, actually. Right then, our final movie of the week, Borrowed Time, Lennon's Last Decade. So, I mean, basically, this is just looking at Lennon's last 10 years of life, right?
It is literally that. So, a new documentary from Alan G. Parker. And, I mean, there's really no more remit to it than that. It is covering those final 10 years of John Lennon's life, which, to be fair, most of us don't really actually know that much about.
I was going to say, did he actually do much in the last 10 years of his life?
Well, he released music. I forget Imagine was during this period. We tend to remember, there's Imagine, there's the Christmas song. Is it War Is Over?
Yeah, was that Happy Christmas, War Is Over.
Happy Christmas. That's Lennon, isn't it? What was McCartney's one? I can't remember. He did a Christmas one as well.
Wonderful Christmas Time.
Thank you. So you can tell.
Spot the DJ.
Yeah, I was about to say, one of us is the radio presenter, aren't they? Right. So this charts those 10 years. It charts how he met Yoko, the relationship they had, raising their children, his move into activism, for instance, because that was the thing we mostly know of Lennon during those final 10 years was his activism. And this goes into that. For instance, I didn't know that John Lennon didn't actually support any causes. He just supported all causes. That was kind of his thing. He didn't donate sums of money to any one thing. He might, and as we're told, he might have done it discreetly, but it wasn't an outwardly known thing. He just showed up at any old protest. That was his shtick. He thought that if you were protesting, you deserved recognition and his presence, which, I'll be honest with you, in hindsight, I think kind of heroic of him in a sense.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to get to, the one other thing we know about John Lennon post-Beatles, which is his assassination and how that was handled in particular. And this is something that we've only really started discussing in recent years, even though Ringo does it at the time in the dark, which is we kind of made the assassin famous. And that was the wrong thing to do. So that's kind of the focus of this documentary, which I should stress in advance lasts for nearly 2.5 hours. Does feature a wealth of 2 hours 20, I think, roughly. Features a wealth of archival footage, some great interviews with Lennon himself, and indeed Yoko. No present day Yoko interviews, but of course, archival interviews with the pair of them. You get more of an insight into what they were like as a couple. Let's just say John Lennon was less monogamous than I assumed he was. To be honest. I mean, it was known. It wasn't a secret. Yoko knew, but I didn't know this side of them. But you know what? They were hippies. Free love. What can I say? You know what? Here's a clip. Enjoy Borrowed Time.
He said, "You're going to be working with John Lennon and Yoko Ono," and I was floored.
I actually said to him, "Do you regret writing How Do You Sleep?"
John and I were in there, and Phil came in, pulled out his gun, and shot up the bathroom.
I think it's inevitable when you're that famous that all kinds of crackpots will come through the door.
There were some quite unkind things said about Yoko.
She broke him.
You gotta have a little guts, and Yoko had a lot of guts. Lennon's message is probably one of the most powerful statements in popular culture.
Being a musician and a Beatles fan and a Lennon fan, I suppose, I know I'm going to enjoy this because it's going to be just information on John Lennon, and I'm going to leave this watching this movie knowing more than I knew when I started it, and that for me is a huge thing. But did I ever tell you that I've met Yoko?
No, you did not. You met Yoko Ono?
The most bizarre circumstance, when I was 17, 18, I went to New York with college as part of my performing arts group. And we had a day there before we had the next day, which was like we had to go to a bit of a lecture and then we went to see a West End show. But the day that we decided to walk down to Central Park to the John Lennon Memorial.
Oh.
We didn't know that it was the anniversary of his death. And Yoko was stood there with a bunch of roses in front of the memorial on her own, no one else around, just us going, is that Yoko? That is Yoko. Is that? So none of us spoke to her out of respect. We didn't. We just stayed back. But yeah, I didn't speak to her, but I met her in the sense that I was probably about a meter away from her and had my photo taken with her, like without her knowing, obviously.
I mean, the last teenage school trip I went on, I met Topanga from Boy Meets World and made a complete arse out of myself. But yeah, it's very different circumstances. You will absolutely love this. And actually, you do touch on a key point because of the length of this and the depth it goes into, the sort of density of it. This is not going to necessarily be the most accessible documentary for people who are not already very firmly on the Beatles/Lennon train. Like, I think so. Because, I mean, it is very much a sort of, you know the broad strokes, you know who the guy, is, like, from the outside kind of thing. Here's the rest. So it really doesn't work as a sort of newcomer's perspective. Like, you couldn't show this to like a 15-year-old who doesn't really know the Beatles, for instance. They'd be bored to tears. But I think for you and me, fascinating, compelling, obviously has a great banging soundtrack, as I'm sure you would imagine,
yes.
and a wealth of journalists and radio presenters who are interviewed, like present day interviewed, who you just play, oh my God, I'd forgotten about that person. There's a lot from your youth. There's a lot of presenters and people from your youth, but oh my God, there's going to be a lot of those in there for you. So I would recommend you will really enjoy this, I think, Adam.
Well, if you want to watch it, Borrowed Time, Lennon's Last Decade, out in cinemas from today. Now, before we say goodbye, let's just quickly whiz through some of the movies we're going to cover next week. The Uninvited. Now, that's got to be a horror.
Well, I mean, I think it's more of a drama, to be honest. It stars Walton Goggins from most recently White Lotus, but of course many things that I adore him in, up to and including The Shield, which is an amazing 25 years old next year. I can't believe. We've also got Riefenstahl, which I don't know an awful lot about actually, other than it's a Curzon movie, which means it's 4-star minimum. To be honest, Curzon don't put out fluff. You know what I mean? They put out what I've really been looking forward to, we've got a new Nicolas Cage movie, baby. The Surfer is out next week.
Oh
yeah. And Bowen Yang is back on cinema screens because it's been like a week. So The Wedding Banquet is next week. When did Bowen Yang start appearing in every bloody film? The Wedding Banquet is next week as well. So you've got all that to look forward to next time around.
Sounds like a good bunch for us to chat about next week. But that is, of course, all we have time for this week on Off Screen. We will return next week. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor, and we shall be back.